Hey guys, it's Tim Shermack, and welcome back to another episode of the Platform Marketing Show. I'm joined today by Haley Blanco. Haley, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Haley, first question I have to ask. I know you're younger. How old are you?
I am 28.
Okay, yeah, you
Mhm.
were you born in 1990? What is that?
Seven.
1997?
hmm
It's crazy. It's crazy doing a podcast episode with someone born in the year 1997. That's just
I feel
absolutely
old. I
wild.
just turned 28 in May and I feel so old. But then, like, in the grand scheme of things, I'm like, oh, I'm young.
That is hilarious. So, you've grown your business a lot in the last couple of years. You've been a real estate agent for 3 years, which means I guess you got licensed when you were about 25
hmm
years old.
Yep.
Your business in the last year, since you started this platform strategy, amongst a lot of other moving parts and things you have going on in your life, you have a lot of irons in the fire.
hmm
Your business is on pace to about double this year, from about 4.5 million to closer to like 8 to 9 million this year. But one thing we were talking about before the show that I think is remarkable, that I think you might even take this for granted a little bit, is that to do 4.5 million last year, you did 35 transactions.
So in 23, I did 35 transactions.
Okay.
Last year we did 23, but also we'll get into that. My market was
Yeah.
very hard last year.
That is crazy that to do
hmm
4.5 million. I mean, most agents in most areas of the country, because you're in a part of Florida where it's lower price points, right? And
Yeah.
I completely understand that type of market. I'm from a small kind of rural town in Minnesota that people, like when I was even in college, like you could still buy homes there for like $120,000,
hmm
right?
Yep.
And still there's homes for sale in my hometown for like $150,000.
Yeah.
So you're in a market where
Same.
you did 35 transactions, and 35 transactions got you $4.5 million of sales volume.
Yep.
So this year you're on pace to double. But what's really interesting is that you might end up doing fewer transactions this year,
hmm
but double your sales volume, which is obviously a different way of saying your average price point has doubled in that
Absolutely.
time as well, that is really, really cool. So let's go back in time 3 years plus and share with me what your career looked like. I know that you owned a boutique and you were kind of like really into that world. You were successful doing that. How did you get into real estate? What was like the impetus of what led you, hey, I think I want to be a real estate agent?
In the boutique world, I was like, there's got to be a way to make better money than this. I mean, nothing in the boutique world. Like, I paid my own bills, but I had no extra money to do anything. But it was a fun job and it
Yeah.
made me happy. And I feel like that was important at that age in my life. And then as I got older, I'm like, okay, something's got to give. What's a job I can do? Like, I have an AA degree, but I was like, I don't really want to work for someone. Like, I don't want to work in the corporate type thing. And
Yep.
so I had a couple friends that did real estate. And so I'd reached out to one. It was one of my husband's friends. And I was just like, hey, how did you do this? And he was just like, oh, it's amazing. All you did was take this course. And so I was like, okay, I'm really thinking about diving into this. And so I
Yeah.
remember we were on the way home from IKEA. It
He's
was me,
like,
my
it's
mom, and my
it's it's it's
husband.
super super easy. You'll make so much money.
Yeah.
Real
I'm like,
estate's
oh,
really
great.
easy.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, perfect. Sign me up. So I was in the car with my mom and husband, and I'm very impulsive. I don't think about things. I just bite the bullet. And so we were on the way home from IKEA, and I was like, hey, I found this course online. I'm going to do this. And they're like, well, I think you should just think about it. And I was like, nope, add to cart, check out, bought the course right then, and then took the course, and it just took off. So I never looked
and
back.
and at that time you were owning, operating a boutique.
So I had the boutique here at home, but it was after COVID, and so it just
Okay.
wasn't doing anything, and I was neglecting it. So I would say the first 2 years, first year and a half maybe in real estate, I wasn't focusing on the boutique. It was there, but I wasn't really using it.
Yeah.
And then when things slowed down in real estate, I opened up a new one, which was
Oh, okay.
yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it was great because I was like, there's got to be a way to make extra money. Like, this makes me happy. It was my creative outlet. And so when things slowed down last year, that's when I did that. But then I was like, I can't wear all of these hats.
Yeah, you just have to go all in on one thing at a
Yeah.
certain point.
Yeah.
And so when you say you owned a clothing boutique, for people who aren't young and cool, what does that mean? Like, what did you sell? Who was your ideal customer? Like, tell me more about that boutique business you had.
So I sold a lot of like Florida style things: dresses, pants, tank tops, jewelry, candles. But it was small. It was in like when I came to Perry for the last one that I did, it was in a hair salon. So essentially, I was like, this is great. It's going to run itself because you're going to have clients in here getting their hair done. Like they're going to pay for this while they're just shopping and waiting. But it was very small scale. I had one or two employees here and there. If I couldn't be there, I had to step out to do a showing or something. But then eventually I was like, I can't. I'm neglecting my clients. I'm
Yeah,
neglecting the business for the boutique. It sounds great. It is fun. You don't get
sure.
rich off of it, but if it makes you happy and pays the bills, then
At a certain point, you probably felt like, hey, I'm kind of half-assing both of these
that's what it
things.
was. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got into real estate. It was kind of an impulsive decision. What was your very first year in real estate?
Well, I started in end of July, and so I did 2.3 million from July to
Okay.
December.
And that was 2022.
Yes.
Okay. So you really got into real estate right when the market
It
was
was
starting
booming.
to oh yeah, I should say it was booming in 2022 relative to what it is now.
Yeah.
But I think 2022 was also the year that the Fed started raising interest rates.
Mhm.
And so right when you got in is actually when the market started to slow down, because for sure 2023 was slower than 2022. I mean, I don't care what part of the country you're in, that's true.
Yeah.
And 2024 was slower than 2023.
Yeah.
And this is the first year, actually, as we're recording this, we're recording this about halfway through 2025. And I don't know when someone is going to listen to this episode. Maybe someone finds this episode 3 years from now or something, but we're recording it midway through 2025. And this is the first year where I think there's some like divergence where different areas of the country, the markets are really different. It's not like, hey, everyone's in a hardcore seller's market or even everyone's in a correction buyer's market. You're starting to see some real like uh local diversity, I guess, in terms of some areas of the country. Like much of Florida is in full-blown correction territory where
Mhm.
prices are coming down, buyers are starting to have a little bit more leverage in asking for concessions, asking for more things on the home inspections, well, frankly, actually doing a home inspection, having
Yeah.
financing contingencies, all these things that weren't happening in
Right.
2021 and 2022. And so the market is definitely, at least in Florida, because I can say this because I live in Florida, as do you, that we're in kind of a correction here where buyers are starting to regain a little bit more leverage in these negotiations. So, like, you have a really interesting career arc because you joined right at kind of the peak, and every year you've been a real estate agent. Frankly, the year or the market has been worse
Yeah.
every year, and yet your business is growing. Like your income is going up every year. Like you're on pace this year to double what you did last year. And I
Mhm.
hinted at this earlier. What's even more impressive, Haley, about your growth is that you've doubled your price point in the last year. That is actually more important in the grand scheme of things than doubling the transactions, because it'd be far better for you and your sanity to double your price point every year than to
Yeah.
double your transactions every year, right?
100%.
I mean, even if you end up doing the same amount of transactions next year, but you double your price point again, that's a much better living for you,
Yeah.
just like mental health wise, than it is to, hey, I'm going to do 50 transactions next year or whatever. So,
Yeah.
you discovered the platform strategy, I think, about a year ago.
Yep, May of 20, yeah, a year ago exactly. Well,
Okay,
a little less,
yeah.
but or more.
So
Yep.
May of last year, how did you first find out about platform? Did someone tell you, or did you see one of our social media
I
ads,
saw
or
one of the social media either ads from you guys or an agent that was using it. I cannot remember. I could probably shout out Kara Newton for a lot of it. And I never could tell, like, are you paying somebody to do this? Like, is this a company? Because like it's so well hidden. But I started like diving deep into it, and I was like, okay, platform, what is this? And so then I was like, oh, this is really cool. Because in the grand scheme of things, like you get calls all the time. They're like, hey, I can do this for you. Like, join my team. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good with Canva. Like, I'm good with social media. I've got this. But at the end of the day, the client doesn't care if I can make a really pretty aesthetic, like, post.
right,
And in the
right,
beginning, that's all I was doing. And I was like, oh, I've got this. People are going to find me because this post looks so good. It's going to say just sold or under contract. And that's what I
yeah.
was focusing on. And I'm like, oh, that didn't matter at all.
Well, you're at the point in your career too where, I'll be totally honest with you. you probably have the time in your career, at least right now,
Mhm.
to be doing a lot of social media stuff yourself,
Mhm.
perhaps even editing all your own videos. Like you might have the time to do a lot of that yourself, but it becomes this problem as you scale, because you're going to do this year, it sounds like you're going to finish the year at 8, 9, perhaps even 10 million again, which is really impressive because it's only your third year. And the vast majority of agents will go their entire career without ever selling 10 million. They might be a real estate agent for 20 years and they'll never break 10 million. You're going to do that in a down market in either your third or fourth year. You'll get through 10 million. But you might feel like right now, hey, I have time to edit my own videos. I have time to do my own social media. But as you become more successful, the weird thing is you end up having more money, but what you run out of is time,
Mhm.
and then the only thing that can make you more money is paradoxically reclaiming the time that you no longer have, right? So that's where a program like platform marketing comes in, because if we can even just help you edit your own videos, be helping think of social media posts and obviously posting
That's it. Tell
social
me what to
media
do. Yeah.
and retargeting ads, and like even if it doesn't save you 20 hours a week, if it even saves you like 5 hours a week, that 5 hours is basically giving you a whole afternoon back that now you can go on showings, you can go on listing appointments, you can
Mhm.
spend more time with your existing database and sphere and get more referrals. Like that extra 5 hours can help you grow your business a lot. And obviously you've experienced that in the last year, because your business has in fact doubled. And again, more importantly, it's doubled, and the average price point for you has doubled as well. So tell me about your market. What is the average price point? How many people live there? Like what is the greater Perry, Florida market like? Because I know there's not a whole lot going on there.
Mm-mm. So our population is around 6,000. Average price point, I would say roughly like 230,000. We have a lot of mobile homes and manufactured homes here, a lot of vacant land. Your higher end houses are going to be 400,000 to 500,000. If you get a
Right.
six
Right.
plus, then that's going to be a hard one to sell in this area. The really unique thing about our market and Perry right now is that we had a large paper mill, which was the largest industry here. It employed a couple thousand people.
Wow.
That
Okay.
shut down last year. So everyone had to leave for work. And then not only that, but in 2023, we got hit with major hurricane and it destroyed the town of Perry. And then last year we got hit with Hurricane Helene,
Yep.
which destroyed the
Yep.
coastal area of Perry. So we've had three major blows to the industry, the community, and all of that. So we're all like, how are we going to sell something here when you've
And
got
you said, I just need to stop you here because I need to clarify this. You said that there was a paper mill
mhm,
that employed
at least
2,000
2,000?
people
Yeah.
in a town of 6,000 people.
I'm shooting high at 2,000. Okay, worst case, maybe minimum 1,200 people,
But
but
I mean,
they're
that's
between
that's
12. It
still
was
that's
huge.
yeah, that's still like 20 to 30% of the population basically
Yeah.
is working for that paper mill. That's crazy. So
Yeah.
that's a huge impact on the local economy.
Oh, yeah, it was yeah, it's still hard, yeah, because 'cause you've got all of these houses that they need to sell, but why is anyone gonna move to Perry right now?
Well, no,
If you
yeah, no one's
unless you're
no one's buying.
retired or
So it's like everyone is selling and no one's buying.
yeah, yep,
Okay. That's
and then if
tough.
you are selling, your house has a blue tarp on it because your roof got blown off or a tree fell like,
Wow.
it was hard, and we're still slowly getting back, but
So in the midst of all that, again, I just asked the question, like, how did you grow your business? Like, how are you doubling your business every year if your hyper local economy is that troubled? I mean, because that sucks. That must be hard.
it is really hard, and I do have to think that platform has given me or like a way to increase because there's a lot of agents. We have a lot of agents in our community for like how small the town is, and I would say at least half of them like stepped back and was like, I can't do this right now. And so I kind of chose to step in and make myself stand out a little bit, but I knew like, hey, I'm going to need some extra help right now. Like I can't do this without an extra something either pushing me, telling me what to do to post every day,
Yeah.
or I just need something. And so I think that just consistently being out there on social media and stuff has helped too. But also, when all of these things happened, I kind of jumped in community wise and like hosted all of these or tried to help. Like when the hurricane happened down at the beach, another agent that's on a completely different brokerage than I am, we both joined in and offered like a relief station, like distribution site. We had FEMA come in, like we did really cool things there. And I think that that's given me a lot of business, which is not what I wanted out of that at all. But that gave me a lot of business this year because they're like, I saw what you did at the beach and I really want to use you for this. And I'm like, that's great. It makes me feel guilty almost because that's not what the intentions were.
Sure.
But I think platform helped me kind of use my platform literally
Yeah.
to do better things. And in turn, the people see that and they appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, we've said it many, many times on the platform marketing show that the agents that are the most active in their community are the agents that are going to win, because that is one thing that you seriously cannot fake.
No,
Like
yeah.
either you're actually connected and you're involved in your community, or you're not. And it doesn't matter what clever like retargeting ads or social media posts that platform can come up with, or cool video scripts we can have you film, whatever. If you're not actually plugged into your community, you just really can't fake it, right? But if
Yeah.
you are connected in your community, and then you use this, broader platform marketing strategy to like blast that out there and enhance that, you like are connected, then really, really cool things can happen.
Mhm.
If the whole broader area starts realizing, like, hey, Haley's super cool. Haley is up and coming. Haley's really plugged in. Like, she's a champion of the community, right? Like, that's the type of agent I want to work with. It's someone who's just first and foremost a champion of the community who just happens to be a real estate agent,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
That's the whole strategy right there in a nutshell. So I know you've only been licensed at this point for I guess this is your fourth year
Mhm.
in real estate. Have you tried any other marketing programs? Did you ever buy Zillow leads or Realtor.com or any other marketing companies?
My broker is actually she spoils us. So when I first started, she actually would give us Zillow leads. So she gave us she paid for Zillow in the beginning. Um I want to say that's it, but they were such a waste of time.
Yeah,
But it gave me really good practice in the beginning as a new agent of like,
sure,
hey, I'm
sure.
going to go show you 10 houses and you're going to ghost me. But
Yeah,
waste of time and waste of money. So,
it just kind of showed you what bad leads feel
yeah,
like.
yeah, yeah.
You know, again, you joined in 2022. Like that was the pivot year that I think most Zillow leads for most areas of the country, not just Florida. 2022 is the year Zillow largely stopped working for most agents, or it depends on your market, but a 2022 was the last year that it even sort of worked, because obviously that's when the Fed started raising interest rates,
Mhm.
and no longer could you go buy a house with a 3% mortgage rate. You were probably going to get a 5%, and then eventually that 5 became 6, and that 6 became 7, and here we are all these years later, and at least at the time of this recording, most people are getting a mortgage rate that starts with a 7, unless there's some sort of buy down
Yep.
um, happening. And so Zillow has fallen off a cliff throughout all this, because Zillow just relied on cheap clicks coming to their website, because people will search for, best realtor in Perry or homes for sale in Perry. And
Mhm.
Zillow's SEO just, you know, sucked up all those search terms. But now people aren't really searching for those terms anymore. Like people aren't going on Google and, searching for homes for sale in Perry or whatever, at least even close to how much they were before. And I think Zillow really took that for granted, that all their traffic and thus their leads was coming from just a booming market. And now that that's not happening,
Yep.
anymore, agents are like, hey, I'm spending whatever thousands of dollars a month on Zillow, and I used to get great results from it, and now I'm getting basically nothing.
Yeah.
So again, it just makes it all the more impressive that throughout this, in the terrible market, like literally every day, not even every year, but every day you've been a real estate agent, Haley, the market is worse than the day before.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
True.
and it's frankly kind of still getting worse
Yeah.
right now, and yet your business is growing. So are other agents in your town like talking about you? Are they like, where did she come from? How is she doing so well?
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people even on our team are like, "How are you doing this? Like, how are you so busy?" And I'm like, social media is always my first answer because essentially like that's what I've always done. But I'm like, I have a really great marketing team, and like I think the answer is I'm like, people see my face and they know who I am. They see me online as a real person. They don't see a post that says 10 steps to get your house ready to hit the
Yeah.
market. Like they see me and they know me as a person and they recognize me outside of like if I'm in Walmart and they're like, "Hey, you're that real estate agent." I'm like, "Yeah," but like they get to know me as a genuine person. I think that makes me stand out a lot. But yeah, people have noticed the shift, and because as a newbie, I was like, I have to prove myself because the top agents in our town have been in the industry for minimum of 8 years, so 8 to 20 years, and I'm like,
Yeah.
how am I gonna hang in there with them? And now I'm like on the top charts with them, so
Yeah. And you're like,
crazy.
20
How
years
did I get
ago,
here?
I was in preschool 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So has your age been a liability or an asset for you? Like, have you leveraged your age as like, hey, I'm fresh, I've got new ideas, I'm a little bit maybe more modern in my digital understanding, or do you think your age has hurt you where people don't trust you because of your age?
No, I mean there may be some listings I will say two answers to that. I don't get brought up to the table at a lot of bigger listings with the more experienced agents because probably because I'm new and young. So there's a lot of listing interviews that I don't ever get to be a part of. But on the second hand of that, so that would be the negative part to it. But on the other hand of that, I reach a lot of first time home buyers and I love that. So I'm reaching the younger generation, and that's what kind of got me busy at first was that younger generation. And then people are
Yep.
like, oh, okay, she can close a deal. Now I trust her to list my house or sell my house. And then I'm reaching the older generation. So I don't think that my age has really played a part of it. I think it's been more helpful than anything because I've been able to help so many young people.
Yeah, and you're closer to their age probably, so they
Yeah, and
feel
they're
like
like,
they
"Oh, okay,
can.
you can dumb it down for me and break," because that's what people
Yeah.
needed to do for me when I bought my house. So I
Yeah, and you
kind of
can
use
just,
that.
yeah, you can just like emotionally like relate to them
Hmm.
a lot more than someone who's 45 or 65 years old. And I mean, it's funny when you talk to boomers because I'm a millennial. I'm fairly young too, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. I'm I'm a 34 years old as we record this right now, and so I'm older than you, but I it it's funny talking to boomers when they're whatever 54 years old or 72 years old, whatever. I guess someone in their 50s isn't technically a baby boomer, but people in their for sure in their 60s and 70s, they're like, oh yeah, well, I bought a house when I was in college or in my 20s, and it's like, yeah, but back then you could buy a house for like 50 cents,
Yeah.
and you could work a part-time job at like a lemonade stand and afford the down payment for your house.
Yep.
And now it's like, not only is it like most mortgage apps are like very solid now. Like they really most of the underwriting, whether you're going through a mortgage broker or a mortgage bank or a retail bank, like the underwriting processes have been really solid since the great financial crisis in '07, '08, the Great Recession. Like people aren't getting mortgages today who shouldn't get mortgages. Like you have to prove that you have steady income, a job, assets, credit score, all that. So it's hard to get a mortgage as it should be, right? You should have to prove that you have steady finances, but interest rates and home prices are just substantially higher than they were before. Because sometimes you'll hear people say, "Oh, well, back in the early '80s, I remember when interest rates were 18%." It's like, yeah, but you have to adjust it for what the home prices were back then. And if you actually do that price adjustment, if you look at a graph and run the numbers, home prices right now are actually more expensive, and mortgage payments are more expensive right now than they even were in the early 1980s when rates were 18%.
That's
Because
wild.
the home prices right now are so much higher, even accounting for inflation, right? Even factoring that in, they're so much higher now than they were back then, that it's actually never been more expensive to buy a home relative to the median American income than it is right now. So to your point, young people sometimes they feel like I can't really relate if I'm working with maybe an agent who's super old, because they just don't realize what it's like to try to buy a house right now when you're 25 years old and you're early on in your career. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so I can see how that could be leveraged as kind of an opportunity for you. So
Yep. I think too with all of the industry changes too, like the buyer broker agreements and showing agreements, like as a young person, I can adapt to this and I'm not used to not doing this for 10
Sure.
years. So like,
Sure.
oh, okay, I can figure this out. I just figured this out. So what's one more thing? So I think adaptability has been really good for my age and
Yeah. I mean, every year you're an agent, some crazy new things happen,
then you've
happens. You're
got
like,
the older ones
whatever.
that are like, what's that?
Yeah, you're like, whatever. I have nothing to compare it to. I guess I'll
Yeah.
just start doing this now.
Yep.
Um, so what does your ratio look like of listings to buyers? Is it like 80-20 or 50-50 or
I've actually become more of a listing agent, which was my goal first. That's why I wanted to start platform. So now I have 15 listings, which is like in
wow.
2022 or 23, I may have had like 4 or 5 for the whole year. So I have 15
Wow.
current listings. Yep. And I'd say 10 of those at least are from platform or just like, hey, I like your videos. So
So I mean, again, we're only halfway through the year. So
mhm.
you're on pace by the end of the year.
Those are just like my active or current like
Yeah.
pending ones. I've had more that have sold and closed, but
So you're on pace to actually year over year like more than quadruple your number of listings.
yeah, yeah. So I will
Wow.
say that's the my biggest takeaway from platform since starting is that it has allowed me to become a listing agent, and that was my goal. And in turn, I'm able to make more sales and more money. Um, and to be fair, I know this sounds awful, but I'm not working as hard. Like I'm not running
Yeah, no.
around showing 10 houses,
Absolutely.
and it's
Absolutely.
so nice. So
It's hard being a buyer's agent, and
it is
buyer's
so
agents,
hard.
I mean, I will maybe catch some flack for saying this, but like buyer's agents work harder for every
I
dollar they make.
1000% agree. I
Like
1000% agree.
if you help someone buy a whatever $300,000 house, and let's just assume for the sake of the example you're getting 3%. I know that all commissions are negotiable, blah 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 blah. But let's say you're getting 3%, so $300,000 house equals a $9,000 commission, right? Without knowing anything else other than who's the listing agent and who's the buyer's agent, I 100% know that the buyer's agent put more hours into that deal in this current market, right?
Mhm.
Than the listing agent did, because you might have shown that person 5 houses, you might have shown them 10 houses, you guided them probably through the pre-approval process, and you introduced them to lenders, you answered questions on all that, you met them for coffee answering, just all sorts of ideas and concerns and questions about the home buying, you know, process. It's tough being a buyer's agent. So
Mhm.
if you're selling, let's say 10 million a year, but it's 80% buyers and 20% listings, versus an agent selling 10 million a year who's 80% listings and 20% buyers, those two agents technically on paper are making the same amount of money, but they live very, very different
That
lives.
buyer's agent is burnt out.
So this year, how many transactions do you think you'll end up with this year?
I've done 25, or I've probably done 20. I have 5 pending right now. So 25. I would say comfortably 35, but I would love to get in the 40s.
Yeah, like I mean, again, we're only halfway through the year, so you'll
Yeah, it's hard
I
to
would
think.
you'll
It's so my
probably end up
mind
in.
is so messed up. It's like PTSD almost because like at the end of the year, last year and the year before, we had hurricanes. So the
I
real
was like,
estate market just
when's the
dipped at the end of the
hurricane
year.
gonna
So I'm
hit?
like, okay, no transactions after July, but this year we should be okay.
I actually literally am closing on a house in 2 days in Minnesota because I'm sick of living in Florida during hurricane season.
Mhm.
So what we're going to start doing actually this year is we're going to live in Minnesota, up where my family lives, for probably like June, July, August, September, and then after hurricane season every year, then we'll move back to Florida and spend
Smart.
the winters here. But yeah, I feel you because there's that uncertainty of like technically you usually don't get a hurricane but every 10 years, but all of a sudden you have a couple in like a 5 year span. You almost feel like, okay, there's probably one coming this year, and like
Yeah.
look, like statistically there's not,
Yeah.
but you just feel like it's going to
The
happen
last
because it
2 we had at least I can't remember if, Idalia was a category 3 or 4 for us, but the past 2 years during hurricane season, the town is completely shut down for a couple
no
weeks, like,
right.
we don't have power lines, and so this year I'm like, I don't know what to expect," but
No, the last one, what was the name of the hurricane that came up last year that like went
Helene
really far
was
in?
bad
Yeah,
one for
Helene.
us. Mhm.
I was on a road trip with my family, and we were in like Kentucky or Western Tennessee, Missouri. We were driving west towards Missouri, but we were, I think, in Western Tennessee at that point. And even just the outer rims of that storm, like the rain was probably the hardest rain I have ever felt in my life. And I was, again, technically hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the hurricane. So I can't
Mhm.
even imagine what it was like for people on the panhandle. That must have been
Yeah.
absolutely wild.
It was wild. We're in a brick house with no trees, and we were in town. So we were like, we're fine. But my in laws live on the coast. We have a lot of friends and family that live like literally on the water. And so when we went back down there, there was just nothing left.
Wow.
So I want to say statistically, it was like 80% of the houses down there were just gone.
Wow.
Like it was just the concrete, which you get it. Like you live near the coast,
Yeah.
but
Yep.
it's just wild.
Well, because too, like, yeah, everyone's like, well, they probably have insurance. It's like, well, yeah, they do.
Insurance doesn't
But
pay.
right, but yeah, but you don't know how much is going to be covered. You
Yep.
don't know, does the person even want to rebuild there? What is it going to cost to rebuild there? Also, even in a hypothetical scenario where insurance completely delivers and there's no haggling back and forth and whatever, you have a $500,000 house and they write you a check for $500,000, that doesn't mean that there's going to be contractors available to rebuild a house
Mhm.
because there's all of a sudden a shortage, like regionally of plumbers, electricians, carpenters, concrete. I mean, because everyone is being called to repair everything else. So even if you get a full check to rebuild a house, I promise you that house is not being rebuilt that year because
Yep.
there's so many other things that are more pressing.
I think we may have
Um,
had like 3 to 5 new constructions since then. So it's very
right,
slow. You're exactly right.
right. It really just devastates an area. That's why it just annoys the hell out of me when you hear some economists say like, "Oh, well, technically, natural disasters are good for the economy because it sparks so much new construction and that creates jobs." I'm like, you are an absolute moron if you
Yeah.
think a hurricane
Insurance doesn't
is
work
a
the way.
but it's just a really stupid way of thinking to think that a natural disaster is good for the economy because it creates construction jobs. It's like, right, but they're rebuilding what was already there. So now you have a bunch of labor to just get back to where you were before. That's not progress, you
Yeah.
know. So again, I'll just keep repeating this, Haley, because maybe you need to hear this because you probably are taking for granted your own success. It's that much more impressive that throughout all this, your business has actually gone up while your town has been devastated. Because I'm sure most realtors' business, all things being equal, is going down because there's frankly just
Mhm.
fewer, I mean, literally physically fewer homes there than there were
It's almost
several
sad
years
because,
ago.
like, whenever I joined, we have a very tight-knit brokerage, and so whenever I joined, I was very close with, like, a lot of these people that now are not they're maybe doing 1 or 2 deals a year, and I'm like, "Hey, come back, like, pick
Yeah.
yourself up," but I'm like I guess when you think of it that way, it is true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's just like the pie has shrunk because there's fewer homes
Mhm.
in the community. So, what have been some of your favorite ads that you've run? Which ads, whether they're photos or videos, what do you think have been some of the best performing, like highest engaging ads that you've run in your community?
The ones that I think are, like, so cheesy, I'm like, "Eh, that's not really me." Those are the ones that always do the best. So I'm just like, "Okay, Allie, I trust you. Here's the picture, do it." And then I come back and I'm
Yeah,
like, "Oh, okay, you guys love this." But there was a specific listing video that I did, and it wasn't anything fancy,
sure.
but it got me a listing from it because they're like, "Oh, I love these videos." The small town local ones always do great, and they always get me some kind of, like, message or phone call of like, "Hey, can I get pre-approved?" or something, but, like,
Yeah,
any of the local shout outs do very well.
yeah. How many views are most of your listing videos getting?
That's a good question. So, I would say at least 30 to 50,000.
Wow. Okay.
Mhm.
And how many people live in like your county? Do you know that? Like the total county?
I can Google it.
I'm not super familiar with that area of Florida because you're kind of like the Big Bend.
Mhm.
Is that what they
Big
call
Bend,
it? Yeah.
yep. It says the county 21,000, but that was in 23.
So yeah, about 20,000, 25,000 people in the broader county, and yet your listing videos are sometimes getting 50,000 video views.
That's why I was so adamant of doing platform too, because I'm like, nobody else can tap into this. So you're gonna see my face. If I am sponsoring this, everyone in town is, if you're on Facebook, you're going to see me.
Yep.
And so I
Yep.
knew it was going to be a good tool. Yeah. 46,000, 54, 32, 37,
Yeah.
68. I had one in the 70s.
Wow. 70,000 views.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's in a county
On
of
like a
like,
not even like a cool video, but
yeah, no, I mean, again, it's in a county though of like
mm-hmm,
less than 25,000 people. I always have to break down the demographics too because it's even more impressive
mm-hmm.
than it looks on the surface. In most areas of the United States, when you look at the population of a given area, at least half of that population is going to be under the age of 18. So that's not counting towards the views because we're not serving up your listing videos to people that are 14 years old, right?
Yeah.
And people under 18 obviously aren't even using Facebook anyways, even if they could, because Facebook is not cool with young people. It's frankly not cool with people in their 20s. Most people in their 20s are more so using Instagram and, Snap and TikTok and X. And
Mm-hmm.
um, but that's, I think, a strength of Facebook is that older people primarily prefer Facebook, and older people is a different way of saying people with money, right?
And I think that's too how I've gotten into some of these higher end listings because it is that clientele that's seeing my video and they're like, my generation doesn't really care about the exposure because they don't, I don't know. But like, so an older person's like, oh my gosh, you're going to see 50,000 people are going to see my house. Absolutely. And you're, in the grand scheme of things, you're like, half of those people are just scrolling or not buying a house, but it looks so great for presentations
Yeah,
and it gets you
absolutely.
engagement and they're gonna be like, hey, I saw this house or tag a friend or whatever. So it's got me a lot of the Allie gave it to me. It's like the listing presentation with like the stats of like your video
Oh yeah, the
views and
seller
stuff.
guide. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
seller guide. That's been so huge for me because they're like 70,000 people. Yes, I like where's the
Well,
paperwork?
yeah, that's the thing is like when you go into a listing appointment with a statistics like that, like you're not just kind of like anecdotally saying, "Hey, my marketing does really well. It gets you a lot of exposure." It's not just this ambiguous generic promise of I'll get you a lot of engagement. You can actually give quantitative data of here's exactly how many views my last
Hmm.
listings have got. Here's how I'm promoting them on social media. And here's exactly how many people are clicking and watching these videos. And here's the actual numbers, right?
Hmm.
You're putting yourself in a position where no other realtor that seller is going to talk to, no other realtor can say that they do that. So you're not just trying to win them over with your charm or by having a good script or something. It's like, no, no, here's some marketing I do that no other agents in this area do. And so the seller kind of logically feels like, well, they'd be kind of stupid not to work with Haley because
Hmm.
no other agent is going
And
to
this
offer
is
that.
also a really big thing too, is like there's not very many scenarios where I go into a listing appointment, they're like, we're interviewing other agents. Normally, when I go in there, like it's a done deal. And I'm so lucky and blessed to have that. But they're like, I saw you on social media, I know what I want. And we just like break it down and agree on the terms or whatever. But it already sets me aside before I get there to the appointment in a way.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
they
yeah,
see the proof, you
exactly.
know?
They already have kind of like mentally or emotionally decided, hey, I think I want to work with Haley, and the
And
listing
they feel like
appointments.
they know me already because they've seen,
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Like at that point, the listing appointment becomes a formality. Like they're already
That's
going to
how it
work with you.
feels a lot of the times. Yeah. Yep.
So, what are your long-term plans? Like, what's your vision for where you want your business to be? Let's say in 2 or 3 years.
Honestly, this past year, 25 has been so much more than comfortable for me. Like I'm actually like, oh, I'm able to like save money and like if I wanted to go do this for an investment, I could. So like if I could just stay on track for these numbers, I would be happy. So
Yeah,
I mean, an increase would be amazing, but I this year has been like, oh wow, I made it kind of deal.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, if you go from doubling every year and then you double your price point
yeah.
as well, that's gonna definitely improve the cash flow
Yep.
situation. So it sounds like about a year in, you're glad you joined the platform marketing program.
Yeah, 100%.
What would you say to a real estate agent who might be listening to this, and either they haven't signed up for platform, or let's say that there's an agent listening to this who has already joined the platform program, but they're just not yet seeing the results that they wanted to. Like, what would you say to someone listening to this?
I would say definitely hang in there. It took me a solid 6 months to really see the numbers change. with when I start a platform, but there's so many little wins that add up that you might not realize. But like my favorite thing is going to Walmart or even like the bank the other day, and there was someone in line in front of me, and she turned around and she's like, "Wait, you're that girl from Facebook. I see you all the time." And so I didn't say like, "Yeah, do you want to buy?" Like, I'm not turning it into like a work thing, but it's just like, "Yes, you know me, so when you're ready, I know that like you're gonna think of me." And
Yep.
for work, I would say most agents are already doing something to reach out to a client or like build a client. Platform brings them to you. I and Allie's gonna kill me when I say this, but I don't call leads.
Don't say it. Don't say
I'm
it.
sorry. And so these numbers without doing that are crazy. And I do need to get better about it, but like platform does the work for me. I don't have to go and reach out to a seller and be like, "Hey, I saw you were like cleaning up the yard and doing stuff. Are you ready to sell?" Because I have someone else calling me to sell their house. I don't know. It brings the clients to me and I really love that about it.
Yeah, it puts you in a position where often the leads are reaching out to you versus you having
Yes.
to call a bunch of people.
Yes.
And obviously you should be calling your leads too, but it puts you in a pretty good it puts you in a pretty good situation where if your business is doubling every year just because of basically inbound leads from all these marketing campaigns, like that's a good spot to be in.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Allie.
Mhm.
What is that relationship with Allie like? For those who are listening that aren't familiar with how platform works, Allie is your account manager. She's kind of your marketing coach. What does Allie do for you, and what does that relationship look like for you guys, and how is that part of your platform success formula?
In the beginning, we were meeting once a week, and she would sit down and say, "So this is what you're gonna do. Are you comfortable doing this?" And if I would say no, she would be like, "Well, why?" And because it's easy for me to be like, "I don't want to do that," and she's like, "Well, too bad. This is gonna work." And so I do like that about her. Is she's like, "I don't care if it's out of your comfort zone. Like we're gonna do this." And so she pushes me out of my comfort zone. I was able to go into like these local businesses and actually talk to them and be like, "Hey, I do real estate, but like, can I take a picture?" And it really got me out of my comfort zone. I've made a lot of connections and I'm a lot better at networking. I am a young person. I don't like talking to people. I think the hardest thing getting into real estate was having to talk to people on the phone. And so now I can actually like go into a business and be like, "Hey, I'm Haley Blanco. I do real estate. I would love to take a video." And so it's really got me out of my shell and able to talk to people and communicate a lot better. But Allie keeps me on track and she gives me a to do list, what to do every week, and really talk about what works and what doesn't work and how we want to fix things. So for someone who doesn't have time to sit down and be like, "Oh, I should do this to like gain a track," there's no guesswork. She just gives me homework.
Yeah, it's like having a marketing coach
Yes.
that kind of like oversees the overall strategy, but at the same time, it's also like an accountability
Yeah. Cause in
coach.
the beginning, I would never be like, "Allie, how is taking a picture holding this up going to bring this?" And I'm like, "Okay, you were right. Now
Yeah,
I
like
have three
after
listings because of that."
yeah, like after enough ideas where Allie gives you an idea and you're like, I don't want to do it, but then you do it anyways, and then your business doubles every year. You're like, okay, maybe there's something to this.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I think that's a major part of the platform strategy that we probably don't talk about enough on the show is how important that relationship with your account manager is, both for purposes of accountability, but also just regularly getting fresh ideas where you have someone thinking about like the big picture of your business. Because you obviously, as the realtor, you're the one in the trenches every day, like negotiating deals, like sweating over the details of this contract or that contract. Sometimes you don't have that like that mental energy to think about the strategy of the business and the big picture because you're just like in the weeds every day,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
So having that call every couple of weeks with Allie kind of gives you that chance to step back and see things from like a 40,000 foot perspective of like, hey, what
Yes.
are we trying to accomplish in the next month or the next 6 months here?
Mhm. Yep,
So
exactly.
you've been with it, about a year now. It'll be exciting, honestly, to Haley to see where your business goes in the next year because I think a lot of platform agents, their biggest growth isn't actually their first year of platform. It happens in their second year. So what happens in between months like 12 and 24, that's honestly where most agents take their biggest leap. And your business has basically already doubled just in the first year. So it'll be actually really cool to see what happens for you in your second year with platform.
That's hard to even absorb.
I mean, really, like that's a
Yeah.
that's a very consistent thing we've seen over the last couple of years that it's the second year where things really pop off. So if you've already had that level of success just in your first year, I think the biggest challenge for you, to be candid, in the next year is going to be figuring out the systems and leverage and potentially hiring an assistant or an ISA, an admin that'll help you scale so that you can, let's say, take your business from 8 million to 14, 15 million, but hiring an assistant and getting some leverage in place so that you can sell, let's say, 14, 15 million
Mm-hmm.
while only working 40 hours a week. So you're not working like 70 hours a week, you
Yeah.
know.
Yep.
That'll be the next challenge to overcome. But you know what? That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a better problem than the problem of, hey, I sold 2 million. How do I get to 3?
Yep.
You know?
And obviously, like from the beginning with the boutique and stuff like that, from I've never been good at delegating, and so I was so nervous to join platform because I'm like, I don't want someone in control of like my stuff. This is my stuff. These are my clients. Like this is my business. But delegating and finally like giving a hat and taking it off of my plate has in turn like helped me do other things. And so for someone who doesn't like to share or delegate things, I would
Yeah.
say just take the leap and trust it.
Well, I'll give you a good book recommendation if you haven't read it already. The book is Buy Back Your Time
Mm-hmm.
by Dan Martell. Maybe you've already read it, but
Mm-hmm.
the book is Buy Back Your Time, and that's one of the best books on like delegation and leverage for entrepreneurs I've ever read. Just the importance of like making sure that you hire the right people so that you can focus your time on like bigger picture problems in your small business.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll help you a lot over the next year. Haley, thank you for your time. I know that your time is valuable, and it'll become even more valuable, in the months and years ahead. It's cool seeing young agents like you crushing it. I think the next generation of realtors in real estate is in good hands.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Yeah, and I'll see you hopefully at the mastermind this year in Florida.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, cool. Haley, thank you for your time, and guys, we'll see you on the next episode of the Platform Marketing Show.
Thank you.